Things got interesting, but in the end, DJ's back.
In a world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. DJ Durkin is back as defensive coordinator of the Auburn Tigers for the third season. Obviously, everybody knows he weathered the storm there the last 3 games as interim coach. Things got interesting. I think there was times when a lot of people thought he was gone. There was different rumors and things out there that we'll discuss. But in the end, he's staying with the Auburn Tigers. Alex Golesh, huge win for him. And what kind of roster and recruiting impact will there be? We'll get into that all right here, right now on signing day. So it's another great day because it's signing day as well. So announcing him yesterday obviously could mean a lot of stuff, a lot of impact on today that we'll, again, talk about at the end of the show. But first things first. It's pretty rare, I think, in general, for coaches to get retained at all. And one thing that you worry about when you have a staff coming from a lower conference, just call it what it is. When you have a staff coming from a lower conference, do they have enough people that they can surround themselves with that understand the competition at this level? Now, with that being said, Alex Golesh has coached in the SEC. He's had success in the SEC. So he may have an idea of what it takes, and it may be enough. But you still worry. You still want to be able to build around you with at least some guys. Bring your guys that you trust, and then supplement it with guys that understand the grind of this conference, understand what SEC players look like, how to identify them, and then how to get the most out of these guys that are getting paid millions of dollars and still be able to get the best. So whenever that happens, you're always concerned until you start seeing the hires. And that was one thing that I think a lot of people were concerned about with Alex Golesh. But right off the bat, it was pretty evident that he wanted to keep DJ Durkin. He wanted to keep DJ. So when it wasn't like immediately announced, I think everybody got a little bit nervous. Everybody got, oh my gosh, could DJ not be here next year? We've been preaching this whole deal about trying to retain as much of this roster, this young talent as possible. If he goes, where could he go? Could he go to LSU? Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator at LSU, is probably taking the Tulane job. So could he slide back down in there with Lane? Could Kane Womack take a job and he go to Alabama? Like all these scenarios coming up. Could he go take one of these, maybe these American Athletic Conference jobs that just opened up? There were a lot of things that I think people were concerned about because it didn't happen right away. And I can understand that, when you've been in the battles that defense has been in, and you haven't complained about the absolute zero support on the other side and maybe even leadership as a whole, you just come to work and you do everything you can do to try to win a football game for however many games it was. I guess it was up until game 9 or 10, game 10. So you played 9 games and you're one of only like one other team that had not given up more than 24 points in a game. I mean, just week in and week out, you're doing everything you can to win, and you're just not from the defensive side, and you're just not winning. but they keep coming at he kept coming to work and kept doing it and keeping that intensity. How many conversations do we have? How many conversations do we have where they were along the lines of, at some point the dam's got to break. At some point the dam's going to break on the defense, and they're going to quit. They're going to be discouraged, and they just never did. So you do all that, and you feel like you don't want to not have that to be a part of, the next go around, when it was pretty clear he was not going to be the head coach. And I think that, there was good intel that he was going to be okay with it under John Summerall. And then that whole thing fell through. And then all of a sudden now it's teeter-tottering on, will he come back or will he not? So for it to be announced yesterday, I think was fantastic. I think the announcement of keeping Vontrell King-Williams is fantastic. You get a chance to possibly pair that defense with maybe if you're just average, how often do we talk about that? If you're just in the middle of the road or a little bit better than average, paired with that defense, man, where would we be this year? So it's good stuff. I think everybody's really excited. The social media reaction was awesome. There was some player reaction that was fantastic. I got a tip yesterday morning about, 8:30, 9 o'clock that they felt like this was going to happen. This was going to be official very soon. And then literally 30 minutes before the announcement, it had started really coming out with a lot of confidence around 3 o'clock or so yesterday afternoon. And then they obviously released a statement from both Golesh and Durkin. It's huge, guys. I think it's huge. To me, it totally changes the outlook year one. You're talking year one, you could be ready to go. I mean, a lot of the pieces are here. You'll have to go get a few pieces in the portal, but a lot of the pieces are here. It's not going to it should not take a complete overhaul to be able to be competitive right away. So I don't even really know. There wasn't even really ever a name out there that would be a possible replacement. There wasn't even really a name out there that, or multiple names, like if Durkin doesn't stay, then look at these guys. It was never it. And I think that's because Alex Golesh was very, very adamant, or very, very determined to make sure that this happened with DJ Durkin and say, look, you're the guy. We're not even looking anywhere else. And I think that's just a huge win. So huge win for the program, huge win for Golesh. I'm going to explain why I think it's such a big win for him as well here in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to me, Kyle Rush with Keller Williams Real Estate here in Auburn, Opelika, part of the Legacy Property Group. Email me at kylerush@kw.com. I got an email yesterday. We're meeting together Friday. We're going to go look at some investment properties here in the area. I could do that. Obviously, we could talk about building a house, buying land, buying a house in town, or selling a house. Doesn't matter. Got a little bit of experience in all of it. So give me a shout. Would love to help you and your family. Also want to give a shout out to Rhoback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Love my Auburn hoodies. I wear them all the time, probably too much. But they're just so daggum comfortable. So check them out. Save big. Show them some love. It's Rhoback.com. We'll be back right after this. I can't express enough how big of a win this is for Golesh. And it's really on a number of levels. Number one, the most obvious is landing an SEC top coordinator in really the country. I know that when you look at it from a box score perspective, you're talking middle of the road. But when you look at the full context of everything that they've been through and were put through, whether it be turnovers in your own territory, 3-and-outs after 3-and-outs, just demoralization after being demoralized on the offensive side of the ball time after time again, and having to go, oh my God, here we go again. We got to bail them out, bailout after bailout. And you see that production. It's huge to be able to land a guy of that caliber, even if, I mean, depending, it didn't matter if he was at another school. Like, I think we lose the value of how big it was to keep DJ Durkin, because again, you want to go hire the best coaching staff that you could hire. It's really hard to pinpoint many defensive coordinators out there that I feel like Golesh could have brought in that would have been equal to, or even just a little bit close to Durkin. Certainly you wouldn't think you'd go get anybody better. There's always some concerns when you're a guy that you want to be, it's your program. There's always going to be some concerns on buy-in. Okay. And I can imagine that a first-time SEC coach going to talk to DJ Durkin, it's probably going to be a little bit intimidating. And then it's like, okay, how do I get this guy to buy in? How do I get this guy to trust me? How do I get this guy on my team? It's got to be it can't be something that just anybody can do. So that's why I think it's such a big win for Golesh right off the bat to be able to say, I don't think Golesh comes off really as I'm going to make everybody my friend type guy. I don't think he really comes off as, I don't really like to bend very much. It's kind of like buy in or get the heck out. So for him to realize that I got to maybe have a little bit of humility here and understand that I do need someone like DJ. I do need someone like him on this staff. So let me put my pride away and do what I got to do to make it happen. And then also understand the risks of, and I got to give a little bit of a nod to DJ. I mean, this still remains to be seen, and I don't expect it to go this way, but I can imagine that there's a lot of the players that probably wanted DJ to be the head coach, current players. I think there was probably some disappointment when he didn't get it. I don't know if they were told that could possibly happen or were led to believe, but I can imagine there's that whole dynamic going on. So naturally, you worry that when you have that dynamic on a team that's supposed to be a team, they're supposed to play as one, you could have some guys pulling in different directions. Okay. So to be able to be okay with, hey, I need you, we got to be on the same team, and then convince him to be on the same team, I think all of that is really, really big. And then also, like, the narrative that coaches are forced on coaches at Auburn, or that DJ was forced on Alex, Coach Golesh, that's obviously got to be something, or that's not got to be something, but that's just something that's always going to be in the back of your mind as well. And I think that the way the timing worked out, and it wasn't just like boom, boom, like announce him and then announce Durkin. I think it really showed that this wasn't just a automatic thing. Maybe it was a little bit more, it took a little bit more convincing of DJ than it took of Golesh. But I think the way the timing worked out, it looks a little bit less like it was just forced on Golesh and more like he saved the situation. Because I think there's a lot of people that thought DJ was going elsewhere. I think the Mississippi State smoke was absolutely real. He obviously had experience. He obviously has ties with Jeff Lebby. maybe it's a chance I can go to Mississippi State and, I can rid myself of the maybe disappointment of thinking that, I could have been the head coach or whatever. I got the autonomy there. And then who knows? Levy may get canned next year, and maybe we'll try this thing again where I slide in to try to get back into an SEC job. That was real. So I think it's a huge win for Golesh. I think it's going to help with roster impact, roster retention, recruiting, maybe get you a little pop here on signing day. There's just really not much negative that you can point to. So it's a big day for Alex Golesh. His first real big win at Auburn, I think, was keeping DJ. And I think that gives you a lot of positive outlook for next year. We're not starting over. Like you kind of keep that defensive operation rolling. And then, man, if you can just get the offensive operation rocking with a little bit of the discipline and accountability across the board to everybody, who knows? You may have something good next year. You may have something that you can put together and be competitive, really competitive in the league next year. So roster retention and impact. Look, there were several guys that were like, I'm not going to name them all out individually, but there were a lot of guys that were 100% gone on defense, guys that would hurt. There were guys on defense that were 100% gone. There may have even been some guys. This was kind of strange too. It's not even May. There were some guys on offense that were going to be gone if DJ was gone. And I know you can look at that in a number of different ways. Okay, you can look at that as, oh man, if they were going to leave, let them leave anyway. But you got to look at it in context. You got to look at it at everything that they've been through. It ain't been good. Okay, there's not been really good leadership outside of the defensive side of the ball. But as a figurehead, there's not been a lot of really good leadership for 3 years. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of looking off into the distance without any answers. So the only seemingly positive side over the last 2 years has been DJ Durkin. So if I want to be successful, I might want to attach myself to him. So there were a lot of guys that I think were 100% gone if DJ were to leave. So him staying just by default is going to keep a lot of guys here that would have gone elsewhere on the defensive side and maybe even the offensive side of the ball. I know there's this narrative and there's this fun, I would almost call it Auburn woke conversation that people are really trying to convince themselves that the roster is bad because they lose, which I think is so silly because there's really good rosters all the time that just aren't led correctly. You see it in the NFL all the time where teams pop out of nowhere. I mean, you look at Auburn in 2012 versus 2013, all it took was a little change in leadership and the same players, with the addition of, I'm not going to act like you didn't add Nick Marshall, but the same players from the year prior to this one started, making a lot of plays that they didn't necessarily make the year prior. So I'm not going to pretend like it was okay to just lose the whole roster. We could just replace anybody because they've lost games. I think to me, I don't want to go. I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm not going to get on with that narrative. I think it's very important to retain as much of this, especially the defensive side, as possible. And this definitely helps there. And I also think today it could help immediately retain some of your top end defensive guys like Shadarius Tootle, like Jaquez Wilkes, and then put you in the game to close with maybe a handful of guys. I really think there's a good chance that Braylon Womack flips back into this class. I would almost expect it at this point in time. There's some other big defensive targets on the defensive line at edge that you're looking at that you could possibly flip at the last hour. Honestly, maybe guys that were waiting to see what would happen with this defensive staff, and you've kept two of the, the more popular guys from that staff in DJ and Vontrell King Williams. So it's going to help with the roster in the immediate and in the roster in the future, big time. So all in all, great win for Alex Golesh. Great for Auburn to be able to pair what has been nationally one of the top scoring and total offenses in the whole country with one of the more salty defenses that really has been put through the ringer the last couple of years. Ones that they can this year, you watched the third down stops, being able to correct those and being able to get off the field, being able to get stops, get turnovers. Turnovers were great this year. Just a defense that's championship quality. You can win a championship with that defense with any kind of offense whatsoever. You get to keep all that intact. So good stuff, man. Good stuff brewing with the first few days under Coach Golesh. So we will see how this thing plays out today. We're going to go live this afternoon. Taylor Corn and I talking about signing day. It's not going to be, it's not going to be like a signing day for the ages. I don't expect a top 10 class, but there should be some pretty good action today that we'll break down once it all unfolds. Going to be some new commitments, going to be some flips, and it should be fun. Again, it's not going to be the most electric signing day that we've had over the last 3 years, but I still think there could be some action. We're going to break all that down, and then obviously we got the basketball game tonight, so we're going to barncast. It's a late one, 8:15. So buckle up and drink some coffee and take a nap this afternoon. And get ready because you got to get in and get in the chat and have some fun with that too as Auburn takes on NC State. So, guys, I really appreciate you listening. Let me know what you think about DJ being retained in the comments. And we'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening and drive home safely.